Hey, you're listening to the Coffee O'Clock podcast, the show that brings you joy and inspiration, with special guests from all around the world who have an amazing story and expertise to evolve your personal and professional life. I am your host, Burcu Onaranel, the founder of Joy Marketing and Coaching. Make sure you grab your coffee and get ready to explore new ideas. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Coffee O'Clock. Cheers, Ryan. I have my guest here, Ryan, Anthony, and we just did our cheer. We are going to talk today about his journey on how he started podcasting, but most importantly, we are going to talk about how we can express ourselves in a good, healthy, and positive way. Welcome, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
Thank you for joining. I'm excited to dive in. I introduced you a little bit, just your first name and last name and what we are going to talk, but can you introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Hi, so I'm Ryan Anthony. I'm originally from Los Angeles and growing up in LA as a child, as a teenager. Unfortunately, I joined a group, you can say it, a cult, and I was in this group for 11 years. Unfortunately, I had wanted to leave. But the sad thing is that when you're in a cult, or it could be any toxic environment, it could be a relationship, it's hard to leave. You're bounded. It's like you're surrounded by fear, you're surrounded by guilt. And so I stayed. And during my time staying there, although I wanted to leave, although I wanted to pursue regular things in life like dating or studying or enjoying nature, I couldn't. And when people would ask me, "How are you?" my answer would be, "Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing great." But the truth is, I was repressing the reality. And so I ended up leaving after 11 years, came back to LA feeling lost, feeling like a different culture. And so I came back to LA trying to find who I was, because I joined this group as a teenager and I was 17, and I came back to America. I was 28, about to be 29, and all of my friends had gotten married or they moved on. And so that started my journey, was leaving that group, but also trying to find, what is my identity? Who am I? What are my talents? Who do I want to hang out with? Who do I want to be in a relationship with? But first, I had to discover that I needed to make a relationship with myself and discover who it is that I was. And so by getting in that journey, I had to find my authentic side, my true side, and through that, no longer repress myself, but express myself. And I'm trying my best, although there's a lot of uh, angry moments or frustration, trying to curve that and make it positive and not allow hatred to overcome me, but try to put some love in my mission.
I love that. And I can see how our stories are similar. And because I went to LA to find myself as well. So it's interesting. But you grew up in LA, so that's another thing. I love Los Angeles, and it's definitely my second home. Being from Turkey, but I just love LA. And you touched to a very vulnerable part of you, part of your story. And I am sure all of the people who are watching or listening to us right now have some sort of similar experiences in their life, because we all are humans and we all have been lost in our lives or getting bullied or had just difficult times, and then we didn't know what we want to do. We felt lost. So how did you find yourself being lost? Like, what was the side effects or symptoms that you felt you were lost, and how did you pull yourself out of that situation?
Well, the symptoms I would say for me personally was loneliness because I wasn't able to communicate with family and because they weren't there with me when I was on my journey and coming back, it's how to communicate, but there's that lack of finding the proper language. Even though I speak English and Spanish, it's like how do you express trauma? Because
Mhm.
at that time I was always blaming myself. So when I saw that, first was the loneliness, then was the depression, then was I I didn't want to communicate. And prior to me joining the group, I was a very open and happy person. So my family saw, who the hell is this guy? This isn't the person we knew before. So that was, I think, uh, a red flag for me personally, is that I am not able to find joy in the things which I used to find joy for, in the normal things. So
Mhm.
I had to go to therapy, but not just that. It's not just doing therapy. I mean, I am a very strong advocate for that, but I also believe in doing personal work, reading books, doing the exercises, listening to podcasts, time alone where you can think and try to rewire your brain from all that negativity and shift one's vision to something more healing and hopefully something more positive.
Yes, I am with you in all that. Therapy is important, and personal work, I believe, is more important because at the end of the day, you are with yourself without anyone around you. So you have to know what brings you joy. You have to know what lights your day up and what's just good for your soul. So all the things you mentioned, books, podcasts, they are all awesome, and having your time, you time is also very important. So thank you for sharing that. And how did you get into podcasting, and why do you do podcasting?
Well, I had no idea what on earth a podcast was. I mean, the first time I heard of a podcast was probably around the year 2015, 2016 when I first heard of a podcast. And I like the idea of just getting a microphone, could be a little one like this, just get the microphone and just go, just record. And I did it for myself. That was the reason why I started. I wanted to find a way to push myself, to challenge myself, and to grow because I felt like my life had too much darkness. I wanted some sunshine. And so getting
Mhm.
the microphone, writing little scripts in the beginning, and I look back and they're not the best, but it doesn't matter. It was how I started, and from there, like a plant, like a little seed, it starts to grow. And here I am on Coffee O'Clock podcast.
Well, I'm glad to have you as a guest today, and as a podcaster also. It's not an easy journey, and nothing we do is perfect. Not as a podcaster, as a human.
Yeah.
Nothing is perfect, and nothing has to be perfect. So, but sometimes we wait until everything is ready or everything is just perfect to do something. But when we just jump right in and start what lights our day up, like you said, what brings us sunshine, that's how we glow and help other people to feel the same. So, what is your podcast purpose?
Well, it has stages. I mean, it's always evolving because I'm evolving. So the first
Mhm.
stage of me doing the podcast was getting out all the negative things that happened to me. It's like a journal
Mm,
where instead of being a journal, like you write it and then you put it away. This is in public, and I wanted people to know the bad things that happened to me, but at the same time, I'm not going to be bound to those events. I'm not going to allow those things to keep me from being a good person, from desiring to be a good person. So that's the first stage. And then as you go along, I start interviewing people, and it's now it's becoming the vision is, what is the truth that people have? I don't care if you are a religious person, if you are non-religious, if you are a philosopher, if you are just a simple person who doesn't have a huge career. I want to know, what is your truth? What is your experience? And if the person, the guest, can share that, and we can learn some philosophy of life. That's the way I see it.
Awesome. Yes, I believe that too. And I really like how you said it's evolving. My podcast is evolving because I am evolving. It is just so true. Sometimes when we start doing something as either a person, business owner, or just a podcaster, or anything that you do in your life, you feel like when you start something, it needs to go in the same way that you start. But actually, you're not the same person when the time passes. So why try to keep something the same? So thank you so much for touching that. I think this is itself is very important message to our audience and myself as well. Like it doesn't have to stay the same. You can change it. You can change stuff. And that's also attached to what I said a minute ago. Like you don't have to wait for something. Just start, evolve, change, and do it again, delete it, recharge it, reschedule it, like do it again. You can do it again. So I think it's very important. You're doing a documentary, kind of a documentary for your podcast, and you have guests also. So what do you
Yes.
have with your guests? What are the topics you discuss with them?
Well, like, many of the guests are people who have suffered through traumatic events, some who have been cults. I've had cult experts. I've also had people who shared grief. What is it like to lose a loved one to sad things like suicide? How are they able to find, some sort of peace and kind of go on with life? So there's a variety of uh, guests, but also not just the traumatic stuff, because my vision on truth, like I said, it's quite wide. So
Mhm.
I also have people sharing things about, like, how to eat healthy, like the body, like how can we have a healthy body? What are some lies out there that people are
Mhm.
believing, and what are some true things that people can kind of, learn from and have a healthy mind, heart, body, and soul.
Like in the name of your podcast, the truth that heals. You are searching
Yes.
for the truth, so it's great. It's great. So it's a variety of topics that helps people to find the truth for them, for their life. Let's talk about more about the positive expression you touched. How do you express yourself in a positive way? Since you had that dark time in your life, you were lost, and then you found yourself and you started putting things together, getting your life together, kind of, because I've been there as well. Like, what were the tools, or what did you do to overcome those dark times? And what do you do still in your day-to-day life? Because it's an ongoing process to keep yourself happy, joyful, and motivated for life.
Wow, that's an excellent question. Personally, something that I do is I have to write down how I'm feeling, and I have to filter myself before I press record. I have to make sure that my feelings are in check, because sometimes, as I speak of, let's say, a traumatic experience, if I just press record, I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be frustrated. I'm going to have maybe bits and pieces of hate. I don't want that in my life. So before I press record, I have to sit down, do some breathing. Really, maybe I'll say, okay, I'll only do 30 seconds. It turns out to be 5 minutes of breathing. So I need to really uh, make sure that before I press record, or before I do a blog or whatever, that I want to get rid of hatred, of anger, and then I'll do my work because the goal, the vision I have is to express myself in a creative way, but also in a healthy way. And so before pressing record, I also have to express myself on my own with a journal, sitting down, or if not with a journal, I will just record my voice personally to kind of help me maneuver and stay focused on the road I want to be on.
Yes, breathing is an amazing exercise, and just
Yes, it is.
stopping yourself, because we are in this hamster wheel, getting things done, run to the next thing, the next task on your to-do list never ends, our to-do lists, but we forget sometimes to just pause and breathe. So it's a
Mhm.
great tool to use. What else do you do?
I walk. So like every other day I'll walk when I can. I'm very busy. I have a very busy schedule with work, also podcasting, editing. But there are times when I need to not only check my emotions, I need to check my mind. So
Mm,
what I love to do is go for a walk and listen to different podcasts.
mm.
Yes, I listen every now and then to Coffee O'Clock, and then I'll listen to maybe philosophy or I'll listen to history. And it's a good way to remind myself that the world is huge. There are so many people out there who are doing amazing things. Yes, my day might be stressful, but I can go for my walks, listen to people sharing some awesome advice or awesome words of wisdom. And after that walk, I, I feel mentally and physically recharged. I think
I
that's important.
I agree. I do that too. I push myself to walk every day, but it's not possible every day. So I do my best to take time to recharge myself, connect with the nature, and just release all those thoughts. Walking is a great way to kind of meditate your mind, because you have all those thoughts, and at the same time you're focusing on your breathing and walking and paying attention the outside world and stuff. So it's a great way too. Yeah, that's amazing. So what would you tell to our audience if maybe somebody is feeling lost right now in their life, or not feeling motivated, happy for the life that they have? What would you tell them to do as maybe baby steps?
Maybe baby steps is find your creative expression. It could be drawing, it could be writing, it could be I don't know, getting scissors and cutting up newspapers and making designs. It can be anything. That's the power of creativity. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, damn, I'm not creative, then maybe you can look at other people's works, art. You can read a book and find a way to, uh, I don't want to say escape, but find a way to detach yourself from the negativity. And for me, that was my baby step, was reading books, drawing, and it helped me to detach from the negativity of the bad things that happened to me. And from there, little by little, taking baby steps to writing poetry and then blogs and then a podcast.
Yes, it's a very nice way to find your part where you feel motivated and also express yourself in a way that is unique to you. You said finding your true self, authentic self. I am a huge believer on everybody has their own uniqueness and own creativity. You don't have to be a business owner or creating a podcast or launching a business, doing stuff. You can be as creative as other people who are doing business. You can be creative at home cooking. You can be creating,
Yes.
doing painting, like you said. There are so many ways that you can be a creative person, and that creativity creates motivation and joy. I sometimes enjoy cooking and just trying a new recipe, and that lights my day up too. And when it's a good tastes, then it's a bonus. When it's not, then okay, I'll try something else, you know? So it's always finding a way to live joyfully, more joyfully, because we all have different days where we feel down or we feel great, but everything is temporary. So what we need to do is to find the way, like you said, to express ourselves the best. So what would you say, maybe a couple of last sentences to leave our audience, and then add how they can reach out to you?
Well, there's a quote I read several years ago, and this was during my dark time. And I don't know who said it exactly, but it was something like this: I am not made or unmade by the things that happen to me, rather, my reactions to them. So the way that shaped me was, yes, good things, bad things happen in life, but that doesn't make me. What happened to me, that doesn't make me. My reaction, my actions, that's what make me. And I hope that people, when they hear this podcast or whatever, um, don't allow I my this is just my advice. Don't allow the bad things that happen to you to keep you from dreaming, to keep you from hoping, and to keep you from aspiring to reach higher ground in life. So you can find me on Instagram. I use Instagram a lot, and my handle there is Truth That Heals Pod, and my YouTube and podcast, of course, the Truth That Heals podcast.
Awesome. Thank you. And I know that quote as well. And I don't also know who says that. So we might need to search for it.
We gotta look for it.
If our audience know who say that, please share it with us. You can comment below this video if you're watching on YouTube, or you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, so we will learn as well. Thank you so much, Ryan. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so
And
much.
thank you so much. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode and now you can apply it to your life. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the Coffee O'Clock podcast on Apple and leave us a review. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you feel like someone needs to listen to this episode, share it on your social media or text the link to that person to make an impact in their life. Be sure to tune in every Monday for new episodes. You can also watch the episodes and find more inspiration on my Instagram, which is at JOYYBURCU. Until next time, make sure to spend some time with you and stay with joy.